Hello and welcome to Flory Models Kit View Time. Today we've got Trumpeter's latest release. This is the Mi-4 Hound in 1/48 scale. And to be honest with you, I didn't even know this was coming out. It took me completely by surprise. It suddenly dropped and I was like, oh, hell, I never knew it was coming. So obviously we've had their Mi-24, which to be honest, I never reviewed because, well, this Vesda one came out and then that one came out and it was quite expensive. And I honestly thought, well, anyway, I have got it, so expect a review for that one coming up soon. But anyway, I did want to have a look at this one because, as I say, it really sparked my interest. So what I've got down in here is the old Hound, which was, I suppose, probably the first Soviet helicopter that would sort of, it sort of fulfilled sort of various roles, if you can imagine, right the way through. It's the first, I think, proper full-on helicopter as we imagine it, going through from the early days of them. I think they actually did a gunship version of this one. It sort of did all the different jobs you might imagine. So again, that sort of Wessex configuration with the pilot well above the crew station, engine at the front, that type of thing. So clearly they were following the fronts of things like the H-34 back in the day and things like that. But anyway, moving around, does look quite nice. We've got some nice details you can see down in there. Really nice looking cockpit. We do get an engine as well, which is a nice touch with this particular one, and the various other parts. So moving around the box, you can see kit number for this one is 05816. And we got some nice markings down in there as well. All right. So inside the box, you forget how strong Trumpeter boxes are. We are gathered by a little sheet. Look, I should pay more attention to these. I know what's coming out. There we go. That's one from October. No, it's not. It's August. Crikey, shows out a date I am. Right. Wow. There we go. It's not a small helicopter, as you can see. It's quite large. So, scaling point of view, this thing's around about sort of 34 centimetres long. So, it's not small. It's quite a lump. So, anyway, we've got the main fuselage halves there. We've got various interiors. And then we've got the blades, which looks like we've got some bend into the blades as well. So we've got a bit of those. We've got a nice protected thing. I do miss sometimes Trumpeter. They just protect all the parts. They're nicely packaged right the way through. We've got something else buried in there, which we'll have a look at as well, and something else buried in there, which we'll look at as well. We've got some decals bagged up, and of course the all-important instructions. And as always, we'll pop in here first. We're looking for the colour sheet, which we've got. We'll look at that in a moment. So, as you can see, running through, I think we'll have to do this in two halves. Obviously, we've got your parts layout. There's not a ton of parts, which is quite nice. Going to keep it quite simple. But right off the bat, I can see we've got the full detail of the engines down in here, various parts. I think it's going to be one of these helicopters, which is going to lend you to be exactly what you sort of need. All right. So starting in that cockpit, it does look very, very nicely detailed, as you can see just down in there. So that's quite nice. And then obviously running right the way through, we've got the main cabin area down the back working in here. We've got a little ladder going up in there. I assume that's for shouting through the hole to say, drop us here or whatever, because you're not going to get in and out of that hole, I don't think. But anyway, very nicely detailed down in there. We've got the gearbox on the top going through, and then into the front end, we've got the engine, which is actually a really nice touch with this. So we've got a very nicely detailed engine in there. Again, you could easily go to town with a little bit more wiring, a bit more plumbing all the way around there. But generally, right off the bat, you've got some nice details in here. You've got the exhaust coming out in here at the back, and then obviously down at the back as well. We've got the rotor head up here as well with the blades. The swash plate, various things like that being mounted. And again, it's got nice details all the way through, pretty much what we'd expect. And then obviously we've got the openings for the front, right the way through on both sides as well. So I assume that's the nose section, opening up down in there. Or is it the tail? No, I think it's the nose. No, it could be the tail actually. No, that's the back end one going through. Windows being fitted down into there, and then really bringing it all together. So again, we've got this back area being fitted down in. We've got the cabin and say going in there as well. So yeah, you've got some nice details, engine being fitted in, and then obviously we've got the other side. And then this is the thing we were just looking at. So you have got the back, and again, that would be nice. So you could either assume have it open or closed, because it is in two halves as well. So it'd be a little bit of choice on that one. If you're closing it, you're just going to be joining it together, popping it in the back. Doors, various bits and pieces, details around the engine, and then that nose weight. It is saying about putting in 10 grams. I always go on the air of caution, and we'll probably add about 15 because I don't trust it. So anyway, with all of those in there as well, we've got the gear being fitted in, this sort of caster system, 4 wheels on there like that. And then obviously you've got the windscreen being fitted just down in here, and the tyres going on the rears. and they last up. As you can imagine, we've actually got the rotor head being placed down in there. We've got the tail rotor being fitted down in the back there, and then the windows and glass. And again, I assume we can have these open or closed, which will be a nice touch. So again, it's not a mass build or anything massively complicated, but you've got everything you need. All right, so there we go. That's the actual marking guide for it, just down in here. And again, we've got the one over on this side for the two types. Various nice indeed, usual things. Decals, to be honest, I don't think there's a lot of point getting these out because they are what they are. You can see the instrument panel one down in there. It's basic, but to be honest, you're not going to see too much in there, but I'm sure aftermarket people will be available if you did want to go down that route, or of course you could add some detail yourself. Right, so let's start on that fuselage section. Okay, so in one. Away, get rid of that. Okay. Actually, I tell you what, one of my bugbears, and I'm just being honest with you, was when we were looking at the various helicopters done before, was the lack of riveting all the way over it. Now, technically, I know it should be raised, so forth and so on, but I'm just a real fan of recess riveting. It's just easy to weather, so forth and so on. But my complaint has been over, the last few months, various helicopters have not had the level of detail I was expecting. This one is absolutely covered in it, as I would expect. So as you can see, fully detailed, recessed riveting right the way over there. This louver door system down at the front for the cooling for the engine, very nicely done as well, very nice and crisp and sharp. You've got the grills, and again, with this grill down in here, you could easily take that out and replace it with a little bit of photo etch or some mesh behind there as well. But generally, the detail is absolutely gorgeous, as you can probably see, and it runs right the way through absolutely everything. So that is very, very nicely done. We've got these top areas down in here. So again, looking very, very nice. And again, over on here, you can catch it in the light there. Really does pop. Looks very much the part. Internals, again, not looking too bad. They're using the old square system for the ejector pin in here, which, again, you either love it or hate it. It's a bit like a Marmite with these. To be honest, I'm not a fan because at the end of the day, it's an ejector pin mark. If you can get away putting them anywhere else, that'd be very helpful. Thank you. But if you are going to do them, the square one's quite a nice touch because they're quite easily to lose. All right. But they are all in there. But you can see it's obviously very complex, judging by the amount of ejector pins it's taking to get this thing out of the mold. But that may be a price to pay to get it off of all those ejector pins. Obviously all of the pin marks it's had to do for the riveting. But again, very nicely detailed, actually very sharp, crisp, not too bad at all, not too shabby. Okay, so looking around some more of the details, we've got just down in here, this is sprue A, as you can see, so that's actually quite nice. And again, some very nice details working around on this one. So again, this is that back area with the bits, but the doors, again, fully recessed and done. We've got some of the cabin area, again, very nice. The actual instrument panel doesn't look too bad at all. So obviously you've got decals to go all down in there and everything else. Covered in riveting right the way over this, as you'd imagine. We've got one of the bulkheads here. So that's actually quite nice as well. And we've got the doors, and again, fully riveted, ready to go. We've got that nose section. Again, it'd be quite straightforward to, I think, whip the back of this off, just sand through it and replace it with a little bit of mesh might be a little bit nicer. Inside of these doors, amazingly, look, no ejector pins. So again, nicely detailed. You'd probably have that open, let's face it. And then down in here, in one, which again, nice touch as well, because it's beautifully detailed. And the bolt heads on here are nice and sharp as well on the tail rotor. So that's really, really nice indeed. All the various parts you can see on this one. We've got the floor detailing. You can see very nicely done right the way through. So again, ejector pins are pretty much flush, which is a very nice touch. And then down in here, the actual roof area for the cabin, no ejector pins. So it's amazing they can get them out when they have to. No problem at all. Very, very nice. And let's go down into the rotors. Okay, so we've got a match pair, obviously, as you might imagine, sort of left and rights on these. So big old lumps for the rotors, which will start on. As you can see, we've got that raised detail, and these are raised all the way through, which means dry brushing would be lovely on those. You've got a very nice, hopefully the camera can see, bend on them as well. So obviously with the weight on the rotors, and then working our way around in here, we've got all the small little bits. Got some of the wheels there. We've got the cyclic. And then obviously we've got the various parts. So yes, very, very nice indeed. Again, gotta be careful, got a brand new blade with your knife. Okay, get that one out. Okay. So let's have a look. Must be the engines. There we go. So down in here, sprue B, big old sprue. Very nice, good, clean, crisp moulding on this one. Got very little burring as well. It's actually a very sharp kit. So starting at the top, obviously we've got all the parts of the engine. We've got the cooler just down in there. If we work our way across, we've got the gear, exhausts, various things as you might imagine. Then down in here, obviously we've got the rotor head just down in here. And then we've got the engine, obviously being a radial, right the way through. So it's a twin radial. Got the exhausts. We've got that little ladder for down in the back. And then work our way across again. Very nicely done. And all the small little bits. Got some of the seats down in there. We've got those air scoops. More small parts, various areas down in here of detail. Again, clean, crisp, sharp all the way through. Can't see any problems with that at all. Nice kit. Again, so, right, okay, I'm assuming these must be clear parts in here. So just down in here. I can get to. There we go. Aha, clear parts. So, really nice. One thing I must admit, you can never ever fault Trumpeter or Hasegawa normally is their clear parts. That is uber sharp and clear. Look how clear that is. There's hardly any distortion into that at all. Really very nice. And again, even with these bulged doors, actually look, there's hardly any distortion in the bulged windows here. These are pretty heavy duty bulges, but actually not too bad at all. Still clear, which is really very, very nicely done as well. So that's pretty cool. And then last up, we've got this little guy here, which I must admit, I'm not sure. It's windows. So these are just the little flat windows. Again, look at those have got distortion. Weirdly enough, all the other big ones, the complex ones, but these have actually all got a distortion in them. Strange. Amazes me. They can do really complex ones, no problem at all. Flat windows, no, can't do that. Got bulges in there. But anyway, I don't think you're going to notice too much in there at all. There you have it. I'll be honest with you, I am pleasantly surprised. I wasn't expecting all that riveting all over that, not after certain other kits. So anyway, this looks like it's a real proper, get your teeth into it, put this thing together, I think with not too many worries, but weathering, I think you can go to town onto this. It's Soviet. It's got all those things with Soviet helicopters. You've got the weathering, the little bit of chipping, the various things that go into it. They were workhorses, so you could really go to town with it. And it's going to lend itself beautifully. It's got fantastic raised recessed details all the way through. Really nice cockpit. The cabin area actually isn't too bad at all. And they're able to have the doors open at the back, means you can look straight in there and you can see exactly what's going on with it as well. So actually, I have to say, real surprise to me. Really nice looking kit. And a definite must. So anyway, there we go. That's Trumpeter's latest release. That's the Mi-4 Hound in 1/48 scale.